is the story of the super force of space explorers.
Greetings, one and all, and welcome to Mornings of Mischief. I'm your host, Stone Loki. Good morning, everybody. How's everybody doing? It's Friday. Yeah! And we're going to be going over the Orville. Of course, let me welcome my co-host to the panel, Dave Bob. Good morning, brother. How are you doing?
Good morning.
It's the lightsaber. Are you getting ready to fight Mexican Iron Man?
I want to go Darth Vader on their asses.
I understand. Clobberin Times. Good morning, brother. How are you doing?
How should I know? Good morning. That's what I meant. Get this responses confused. Good morning. My good friends and lady on the panel and wonderful people in the chat. Hello, it's time to clobber things.
Clobberin time. That's right. And of course, the lady of the hour, the woman who loves sausages and roided owls and loses her forks all over the house.
And
Arwyn
Twinkies.
Avalon. And Twinkies. Yeah, don't forget dipping the Twinkie and with milk and drinking box wine through a crazy straw.
Oh, morning, y'all.
Good morning,
y'all.
With Clobby, I'm ready to clobber some things this morning too.
Oh, it's fine.
Yeah.
I'm rubbing off on you.
You are, honey. You are.
Clobber away.
But hey, y'all.
So, just as a heads up, there will be spoilers. So if you do not want spoilers for this episode, be aware. I'm aiming to put it up in big, bold ass letters because, we're here to review it and we're here to talk about it. There we go. Scroll at the bottom of the ticker, add banner, and there we go. Spoilers!
spoilers.
Yeah.
People that are going to contact me later and be like, "Why didn't you have spoilers up, you black pill?" So that's what Coach, Coach, why didn't you have spoilers up, you black pill? You're a black pill, Loki. We don't like you.
Dark Coach.
We don't like you, Loki. You're a black pill.
Coach.
So, spoilers. There are spoilers.
Although it's hard to spoil something that's
It's already spoiled.
already
It comes pre-spoiled, basically. Is what you're saying.
Yeah.
All right. So, what they mean is that we're all the lowest form of humanity. Oh my God, the people of this time, they're pieces of shit. They're horrible. They're worthless.
They're the worst of the worst.
We're the worst of the worst. The amount of work that apparently Kelly herself had to do to quote clean up our mess is unrivaled in the history of the Orville timeline. And it just gets worse from there. So we go back to the very first episode. We're going to go back in time. We're going to go back to the very first episode. We need no longer fear the banana.
Right.
To the time device that apparently Lamar has continued to work on from day one, and now it can create a field that can envelop the Orville. And they can control how far it goes back and how far it goes forward. Got to get back in time. Dun, 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 dun. I got it back in time. So they contact the Admiralty. The Admiralty sends a fleet of ships to escort the Orville to a research planet. And when they get there, everything's been destroyed. And then the Kalons show up. And it's balls to the walls, run, fight, survive.
Yeah. What I'm trying to figure out is the Kalons, they're super intelligent and they can't invent the same thing. What the hell?
It didn't make much sense.
Even though since they're always trying to be Trek parallel, remember the Borg was able to do it?
Yes, the Borg were able to do it.
Yep. Go ahead. I'm sorry I interrupted.
No.
Chris Persia says, if only it was as good as something made by Robert Zemeckis. If only, yes.
If only.
And Milton Knowles, good morning, you insane witch king. What did you guys think up until this point when they get in the fight with the Kalon?
It wasn't bad.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting. I was cruising along. Let's put it that way. I was cruising along, enjoying my Diet Coke, enjoying the story unfold.
The only problem I had with it is I knew where it was going. I mean,
at least you were trying to. Sorry, go ahead. Go ahead, Dave.
It didn't take a rocket scientist to figure out where they were going with this. Especially with Gordon singing at the first part of it and taking the cell phone. All that.
That's her song. Yeah. That was her song. Am I right or am I wrong that was her song? Because I was like, why is he singing her song?
Yeah. Then he pulls out the old phone, the replica cell phone, and starts showing what's her face. All the pictures of her and everything.
Right. Hey, I'm stalking this girl that lived 200, 400 years ago.
I mean, you start with that, and then you go to time travel, and you know exactly where it's going.
Look, some of the finest episodes of Star Trek happen to involve time travel. However, I can't stand time travel with Star Trek. Doctor Who, knock yourself out. Other shows, fantastic. I'm a fan of many things that involve time travel in Star Trek, even though, almost in spite of it, it really gets messy when they do it in Star Trek. And yes, I love Sitting on the Edge of Forever and even The Voyage Home and a few other things that involve it. It's just really, it just gets, makes my head hurt when you get into that paradox, especially with Star Trek. That's supposed to be hard science fiction, even though it doesn't always work out that way. it's supposed to be. And this is of trying to be Star Trek. As soon as I saw time travel, I kind of thought we were going to be in trouble.
Second of 9 with $2 super chat. Thank you, brother. He says, "Can I give props to the acting?" Absolutely. They got brought up that Charlie and Isaac's part was actually really good, except for them knowing how to ride a motorcycle.
Right. I can see
I
that.
didn't even think about that. How did Charlie know how to ride a motorcycle? But
right. Isaac learning how is pretty easy to believe, but yeah.
Yeah, I thought that too.
Yeah, he would have had to teach her how to do it, and that would have taken quite a while.
The only problem in the episode was getting the Dysonium. The Gordon subplot was 100% meaningless. All right, let's get to that subplot.
Right.
So the Kalon and the Confederate, the Kalon and the fleet, the Earth fleet, get into a big shooting match, and Ed and Kelly order the time displacement device destroyed. So it's Tala, right? Tala.
Yeah, Tala.
Mm-hmm.
Tala says she'll go and destroy it. There's an explosion on the bridge. She gets knocked down, and Gordon gets up and says, "I'll go do it," and runs to the device. He's about to shoot it when Lamar sets off this shockwave that they had set up to do, and that hits the time machine and blasts Gordon into the past. Now, how he got from that point in time to Earth did not make any sense to me, because they said he was thinking it.
Yeah.
So it happened.
Yeah, that was lame.
Yeah, that's
He was
God level stupidity
He
there.
was displaced in space as well in time.
Yeah.
Yes.
He moved how many light years and how many years into the past?
A lot. A whole hell of a lot.
Now that can happen with a wormhole. You can move through space. That's actually like science. That is real science. A wormhole can be a doorway between space and time.
Yeah, but it's usually
not just
somewhere out in
space.
space. It isn't going to put you down on a planet.
But it's exactly. It's not going to put you down on a planet. Exactly. And that device didn't have anything to do with moving an object from one place to another, just through time. So whatever. I'm not going to be super icky, picky, nitpicky, whatever. It happened. I just thought it was kind of like, what? And then they explain it like, oh, well, if you think it, that's where you're going to go. If you're thinking about it.
Yeah,
are you telling me Gordon was thinking about meeting up with his holodeck girlfriend when he got hit by that, instead of, holy shit, all this space shit's going on?
Field of dreams, if you think it will be.
Yeah, so not science fiction, because again, no matter what he's thinking, this is not like, look, say what you want about the brilliance that is City on the Edge Forever. Harlan Ellison was smart enough to couch that with this is such a far and advanced concept. We don't know what created this thing. We're not going to explain what created this thing. You get wrapped up into the story because you don't have to explain it. This is an alien device of way in advance of anything we have, and you just go with it and you accept it in the episode. You don't have an explanation. In this is a device created by people of that time, Dr. Whatever, from the first episode. Why then will it be like a TARDIS or something where it's again moves you in space that far just because it moves you back in time? It just doesn't work.
Yeah,
Moons
they
of Madness.
basically applied. It's a metaphysical approach. He basically manifested where he landed.
Right.
It's just the whole thing to me on that fell short, because that is such a big premise to how he got where he got, and it's like, you're crossing over into complete fantasy. And I know some people would say, well, science fiction, it's fantasy. No, but if you're in the science fiction realm, why are you applying the metaphysical realm to it to explain this? And then your entire plot is based on it. It just, I don't know. I didn't care for that.
Not to mention, planets and solar systems and galaxies are moving at tremendous speeds.
Yeah, it just, no. But
if you tell me Gordon starts looking for whales, I'm tapping out now.
Hey, you're not supposed to spoil that part yet.
Yeah, it wasn't whales are looking for some kind of Dysonium or whatever the crap.
Dysonium, yeah.
So they can get back. It's like that was their nuclear vessels solution to getting back. So and Admiral, it is the Enterprise.
Who's Alameda?
Alameda.
Just think about it. Just manifest it right there, and it'll show up.
Right there, yeah.
That's and that film, of course, a wonderful science fiction concept. That was one. I don't like the arbitrary use of time travel in Star Trek, either the slingshots around the sun, but have a good reason for it. For example, that became an accident. Tomorrow is yesterday.
Yeah,
when they accidentally slingshot around the sun. That works. It's a great episode. Then I don't think it works so well with Assignment Earth, where they're going to study the 1960s.
Yeah,
I don't like that. However, there's necessity involved in Trek 4 when they have to go back and do it, and you can buy into it. And again, it works because they are on Earth. They're already in orbit of Earth when they do it. So it works for that film, and it's okay, and it's fine. They did do a little bit too much time travel. Actually, the original series didn't do a whole lot of it, but later they started messing around with it more on some of the other iterations. Sometimes it was okay, other times it wasn't, but usually you had some halfway decent.
Well, you actually had people that cared about a little bit about science in it.
Well, yeah, they had scientific consultants even.
Yeah.
A werewolf. Mr. Clemens, if you will go with our counselor Troy to view the ship. Well, anywhere where I can get a good cigar. Do y'all ever see Halley's Comet? Ha ha! Bastard.
Loki, you were talking about how some of the judgmental things they were saying about people at this time, whatever. Look, Star Trek did that also. It did used to do it, but not quite in the arrogant or like condescending way this was done. There would be lines like this is when Kirk is giving instructions at the end of the voyage home. Remember, this is a very primitive and paranoid culture. He does say that. McCoy says it's a miracle these people ever got out of the 20th century. They did do commentary like that, and that's fine. It's in this, it comes off as venomous, as it just is not the same. It's more ugly.
These people killed animals. I'm a murderer. Fuck you, Gordon, you fucking pussy.
Yeah, Clobby, it was when it was previously done, it was almost tongue in cheek. It was a nod because, we are in those centuries. So it was almost a little nod to that. And it was palatable and it was fun. And it was like
self-commentary on the human race.
Thank you. Oh my God. Yes. Self-commentary on exactly. But this
when Roddenberry did it,
just like, all right, y'all.
When Roddenberry did it, but he's also hopeful of the human race as well.
Yeah.
This one was just like, you're a bunch of rotten. You people in the 21st century are crap. Shut up.
I don't know if that was supposed to be, if they were trying to do it in that tongue-in-cheek way, or if they were just coming out saying, look, our society is shit.
They're pretty much just telling us, right off the bat that we're bad. Everybody is bad.
And
they're
it
the
doesn't
ones
necessarily
that are right.
mean the future is going to be better. The human condition will never change. From cavemen to ancient Egyptians to the Victorian age to now, technology has changed. Ideology has changed. The human condition that makes us who we are, that will not change. So I don't care if you're going to be in some moneyless society, advanced to the nines, you're still going to have the same bullshittery as a human being. You're still going to have to deal with that as they did back in medieval times. So that kind of stuff just gets on my nerves.
I'm going to make a little quote from the Bible here. There's nothing new under the sun.
Yes.
Yeah.
Indeed.
So to pretend that everything will be perfect and that we're all just a bunch of plebes, come on now. That was a little much. I'm like, no.
Yep. But that's a good point from Encounter at 4 point there.
The bell. Okay, so this is what I want to bring up. The bell rights. Cisco, Bashir, and Dax get transported back in time to right around now, I believe, because I just watched it the other day. I think it was like 2024.
That's right. It was right around that point.
And they have the Bell riots. Okay. Cisco and Bashir and Dax in this episode talk about how hard people had it. They didn't talk about, oh, well, you know, the people of this were scum and trash and they didn't do this and they didn't do that. None of them had jobs and they all had their fucking hands out. They never once ever talked about people like they were trash. Ever. Even with these riots coming up, even with the things they were facing, they never talked about people like they were trash.
I actually hate that episode, but you're right. It's still not the same.
Kelly and Ed in the car on the way to Gordon's house talk about this time period like human beings are the scum of the earth and the most worthless, horrible fucking people ever.
Well, they don't mean themselves. Hollywood excludes themselves from it. They mean everybody else. Yeah, that's Hollywood stuff right there. That means they're great. You know, McFarlane's type, the elitist, but the plebes out there, you know, and flyover and all that stuff are a bunch of scum.
And that's the biggest problem. It's the second biggest problem. That is the second biggest problem I had with this episode was how they talked about humanity. They're 400 years in the future, but in the grand scheme of things, when you look at time, that's like a millisecond to time.
Yeah.
This planet's been here billions of years. 400 years is a footnote in time, but they act like they are so much better and humanity is just like so far advanced that we're just like cavemen. We're scum cavemen killing each other for a damn club.
Right. And they don't.
Go ahead, Clobby.
No. I was just say they don't judge other races when they go there, but it's self-introspection. But go ahead.
I was just going to say I didn't see any humility when dealing with a more primitive society. I saw an arrogance that pissed me off with these two characters.
It's straight up what Hollywood thinks about everybody else right now. They look down their nose at you.
Yeah.
That's right. Absolutely.
So they get a message from Gordon, and they find out that he got sent to 2015, and he's on Earth. And the message they get is 6 months after he got there. Now, apparently he's hiding out in the woods, in I can't remember what state, Connecticut. He's hiding out in the woods in Connecticut, eating dead animals.
That he shot with his banana pistol.
That he shot with his banana pistol. And that's how he survived. They devise a way to take the whole ship back in time and take it to Earth.
Right.
And they are unsuccessful when they get there. They find out, well, we messed up. We're not in 2015. We're in 2025. Ugh. I think it's funny. They're 1 year away from what Star Trek did in Picard this last season of Picard, because they were in 2024.
Oh, yeah.
And they're in 2025. They find out Gordon is a pilot for a experimental plane company. He is a test pilot. And they go to get him. They go to get him. They go to get him anyway. They're like, you know what? We're in the wrong time. He's been here for 10 years, but we're going to go and get him anyway. And they go and they talk to him, and he's like, you guys got to come with me. He doesn't say, okay, let me go get some stuff and I'll meet you guys back here. He doesn't avoid it. He doesn't fight it. He's like, you guys just come with me. And that's when they take this car ride to Gordon's house, and they talk about how horrible humans are in this century. At this time, at this year, they're nothing but scum. We had to clean up their mess. These people. Kelly calls them these people. These people. We had to clean up these people's messes. And they get there, and guess what? Gordon's married to the holograph chick that he got the phone from, that he showed at the beginning of the episode, that you saw back in, what was it, season 1? He fell in love with the hologram chick. And he actually found her, went and saw her play at one of the bars, was like, oh my God, you were so excellent. And she was like, bullshit, you're just saying that to get in my pants. And he's like, no, seriously, I know exactly what emotion. And basically, he's like, I used every bit of knowledge I had about her to win her over.
Yeah, creeper.
Stalk, creeper. And again, I didn't even think about this when I first saw it, and Raquel was really adamant about how disturbing that is, that this guy comes back with all this knowledge from the future and it basically changes her life. Her life went a certain way, whatever it did. She was going to marry that other dude eventually, and all that kind of stuff. And he just took over. And he basically stalked, like you said, he did stalk her. I mean, because he had all that info on her. But that's okay, because we're talking about the degenerates in Hollywood don't have any particularly morals.
Mansquatch brings up a really good point. Mr. Malloy, your background before 2016, it doesn't exist. So these guys from the Department of Homeland Security would like a word with you.
Yep.
Not a word to that, but we're not going to be that. We're not going to be that elitist and be like, well, you know. So he gets Kelly and Ed in his house. They meet his wife and they meet his son, and his wife is pregnant with another baby. And his son looks just like a little Gordon would. He looks just like little Gordon.
Yeah.
And they're not having any of it. They're like, you got to come back. And he's like, I can't come back. I'm not going to leave my family. Well, you got to come back. You have no choice. To the point where he's like,
you've broken all the time laws.
Looking at you, Kelly. A whole freaking religion was founded on you healing some little girl. And you're up there preaching to him about how he's going to get arrested and he's going to do this and this is going to happen to him. I was like, what the hell did y'all expect him to do? Live under a rock for 10 years?
They were.
Yeah,
really?
They did.
Belligerent. They did. Yes, they did expect him to do that. Yeah.
Well, they can kiss my ass because I thought that was ridiculous.
Right.
The way that they pounded him on that, no. There was no compassion. There was no, okay, let's sit down. Let's talk about this. Let's look at this from a couple of angles. Come on, Gordon. We're family. This isn't your timeline. You really never should have been here. But now that you are, now that you have been and you do have a family, you know, we need to talk about, you know, we need to look at this from a couple angles. No, it was all about the doom and gloom. Why the hell does everyone have to go to doom and gloom when things are, quote, changed? Going to
his son's going to be the next.
Invent the thing.
His son ended up being his son's going to end up being the next Hitler. That's pretty much what Gordon said.
The one that saves the world.
Right.
And what Mansquatch says here is this is my huge deal with the end of this episode. Considering that for the past 2 episodes, they've been discussing Ed's issue with his daughter. He was crass as hell about whipping out Gordon's son.
Yeah.
Wiping out, yes, wiping out Gordon's son. He just didn't care. We're going to get to that because they literally, at the end of this episode, they literally drink fucking scotch, smile, and laugh about how they killed 2 kids. They killed 2 of Gordon's kids. He killed 2 of his best friend's kids and was like, well, buddy, you know what? You're better off for it. You're better off not having them kids. Let's drink scotch. And you know what? While you're here, why don't you bend over my ex-wife and fuck her in front of me? Because I'm a cuck-ass fucking bitch.
They've ruined all these characters just about for me. Some of the stuff with Charlie and Isaac was entertaining in the episode, but that was the only thing that was mildly entertaining.
Yeah.
The rest, they've really kind of they ruined Ed and Kelly over the past couple of weeks for me, and the past 3 weeks, and they've done it to Gordon, who was my favorite character.
Yeah, they did him a disservice.
Sorry, Leia.
It was a great, performance by Scott Grimes and all that stuff, but he's a really talented actor. But I don't know. They really just
had him sit there. They actually had him sit there and go, "Wow, I didn't want to come back. Really? Oh, I have kids? Oh my God!
I'm glad you guys sussed it out.
I'm so glad you did." I'm like, so with no memory comes no culpability and no consequence.
That's right.
Dagan makes a good point there about they already had the whole record of his life and everything.
Yeah.
And it wasn't enough, different that it would have changed much.
That's right.
It was evil. It was ugly. It's just everything about it.
And they lied to him because they said nothing's been changed so far. But they had that whole thing. They had that whole future where they saw it and nothing changed. Oh, well, we don't know the ramifications yet. Isaac told us. Isaac warned us. We don't know the ramifications yet. You already caught the ramifications, and it was nothing because he lived his life and he passed away and nothing changed.
Yeah.
Well, since the family, the kid and the unborn child and even the wife at that point are quote unquote paradoxes or anomalies, what would have hurt to bring them, take them out of that, since that it was going to be a redundant timeline anyway.
Yeah.
Like, remember in Star Trek 4, they brought Dr. Jillian Taylor to the future.
Yeah.
Yep.
Now in First Contact, there is something that Picard says that make sure my people find a quiet little corner of North America and stay there. Basically, stay to themselves. Gordon was supposed to do that, and he didn't do that, but it didn't change anything. And they never told him that.
There was a way to get
I hate missing my train.
Hogwarts is blowing through y'all. Sorry.
there was a way to get on. I'm not saying they shouldn't get on his ass for breaking the rules and all that stuff, but it was so out of character the way it was handled. What he did it was the problem, Billy. And you're also in City on Edge Forever when Kirk tells Scotty, he says, Scotty, when you think you've waited long enough, each of you will have to try it. Even if you don't succeed, you'll be alive in some time somewhere.
And Claude Parrish, they're the same rank now. She got a promotion, so they're the same rank. So they can have a relationship.
But not in the middle of a daggone room, middle of engineering.
No, absolutely not. But they are allowed, now that they're the same rank, to have a relationship. And if one of them gets promotion after that, as long as they are still in that relationship, it's absolutely fine. Because they started that relationship while they were the same rank.
Just a stupid scenes. Like, all right, now again, that's another thing. We're starting with all the. Well, again, a hat tip to my wonderful first officer for pointing a lot of the stuff out that I didn't think of the first time I saw it. Now it's all this interpersonal relationships and soap opera crap that they're just cramming into these episodes that I can give a shit about. I want to see a science fiction show. Not that you can't have some of that stuff, but they've had enough of it with all that drama with Ed and Kelly. I mean, do we need more of it? I don't know. I'm just not thrilled with it myself.
Larry points out Gordon did 3 years alone. Yes, he lived for 3 years in that cabin, an abandoned cabin in Connecticut in the woods, killing animals, killing and eating animals. Until he finally was like, screw it, they're not coming for me, and went off to live his life.
Yeah, and I see no problem with that. I see zero problem. I don't care about union rules and regulations. You know what? At the end of the day, it's personal survival choice and autonomy. And the way that Kelly and Ed handled this, it shows that doesn't mean shit to them. You get in line, you do what we tell you to do. When they showed up with Tala to take him back by force, it would have been ballsier as a show if they had done it. But you know why they didn't? Because it would have been an unforgivable stain on those characters' reputations. And already, though, the way that they've handled these characters, I'm like, y'all are kind of unhinged with doing what you want to do. You talk about Gordon. You talk about how, you're being selfish and you're being this and you have to do this. I'm like, wait a minute. Y'all showed up to take him by force. I thought we were more enlightened. I thought we were a better society now. I thought it was like, oh, yeah, we're all about love and peace and no money and restoring, order and balance. No, that was some bullshit what they tried to do. Yeah. That they showed him up to rip him away from his family. And then he sat there and they had the character laugh about it with them.
That's right.
I'm like, what person, even if you didn't know your family, even if you don't remember it, what person would be like, wait a minute, I had a loving wife who was pregnant.
Who was the woman of my dreams. Who was the woman of my dreams.
Thank you. I had a son and y'all came to chastise me and judge me and deride me and then forcibly rip me away from them and not give me a choice?
Yeah,
Where did you think that's a good idea?
Yeah, he just made the point too, that while he was out there, he said, humans are social creatures. We can't just, be on our own like that and not interact with other people. I mean, that would be an impossibility.
And
Decepticons Cave of Villains said they are on a power trip. They are expressing what they think people in power should or actually do.
Yep.
That's scary.
That's about right. Yeah. I had first, because I hated episodes 4 and 5 so much, and I was relieved that this was not an overtly political piece of propaganda. It's like, well, at least it felt like it was like an older episode, but then it just became more and more uncomfortable with a lot of things that you were all discussing now about what the way Ed and Kelly are written, with the things they acted, and now it makes me pretty much, again, for different reasons, put this one on the same level of how this show is degenerating into just absolute sludge just over the past 3 weeks, really. Because before that, I didn't mind it that much. I didn't think it was as good as the original season. But yeah, now it's all going straight down the crapper for me.
Milton says, actually, Gordon gave a lot to try to do what he was supposed to. When you consider to him, killing animals is on the same level as murder. He did his part for 3 years. That's not nothing. He didn't have to now, though, because they went back and they removed all that. They completely took all of that away. Larry says he violated the temporal laws. He has no say in what happens.
In theory, and he didn't violate it by when he got sent back. That wasn't his choice.
That's right. He didn't.
And at the end of the day, he did his duty for 3 years, and after that, yeah, I would start to think, nobody's coming back for me. No one. And I have to survive. I have to live. So damn it, I'm going to do it. And since they had the whole, he thought about it, the metaphysics thing, well, maybe he was meant to be there. Maybe he was meant to go back to that time.
A predestination paradox.
Yeah, a lot of cross wires there. And yeah, at the end of the day, I would have said, fuck it. I'm doing it. I'm going out and I'm living my life. And if you come back to take me away, I'm not going either. That would be me. But
yeah. Yep. 10 years was a long time.
Did Gordon violate a law if the law wasn't written yet?
Oh, nice point.
Oh, Claude Parrish.
Nice point.
Yeah, good point.
Paradox there.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So what happened? Technically, this is what happened. At the end of the day, they erased the timeline they went into initially. So instead of taking Gordon from 2025, they went back to 2015, got him out of there, and erased that timeline. So everyone in that timeline, everyone in that dimension is gone. It's been erased. That never happened.
Why would they
that timeline cease to exist?
Why at that point, when they found out they were going to be able to go back to 2015, were they even telling the 2025, torturing the 2025 version of Gordon by telling him that?
Yeah, good point. I mean, all they had to do was get the Dasonium and then go back to 10 years. I mean, it wasn't like it was something that they just thought up.
Either you come with us or we're going to go back and just make you not happen anyway. Why would that? Was horrible.
It was
just
arrogant. It was cruel. And
why'd they even tell him?
I don't know. I really did not like the characters, Kelly and Ed, in this episode at all.
They're thoroughly unlikable to me. For the past 3 weeks, they've been horribly unlikable, and this is so terrible. Arrogant, insensitive, and they do that to their pal. But they had no empathy for whatsoever, the way they treated him, and just do it. Why are you telling him we're going to take you by force? I'm not going to go. All right, we're just going to go back and erase all this anyway. And he's begging him not to do it. It was heartbreaking. And he says, "Yeah, screw you. You'll be okay. You'll be fine with it once we erase you."
I would have shot him. I'd have shot him. I would have shot Tala. I would have shot Kelly, and I'd have been done with it, and I would have left.
And then he could have still just said, well, we're going to go back and erase him anyway, because he should have known. That's the thing. He did know that they're going to go back and erase him anyway, no matter if I run or not. And it's just, that's why, good God, look at yourselves, people, and don't do a stupid time travel story like this.
Yeah.
Somebody thought it was a good idea. Somebody thought it was a good idea.
When I first watched it, I thought it was entertaining enough, and except that part really bugged me. I knew it was I didn't know exactly why I didn't like the episode until I started thinking about all that stuff at the end there. So sorry about that, Arwyn. Go ahead.
Adega says all of this could have been avoided had they sent a probe back in time to before the Kaylon attack on the science station. All done.
They never explained how the Kaylon knew about that thing at the science station either.
Nope.
Go ahead, Arwyn.
Why would they know about it? Go ahead, Arwyn.
Shit, I forgot what I was going to say. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
No, it's good. It's good. We're bouncing around, and I had a deep thought. Now it's gone.
So I do want to. I do want to bring up something I thought was good with this episode, and that was Charlie and Isaac and the little adventure they go on to get the stuff they need to get the Orville back to the future.
That was good.
That was fun.
Charlie was a little too slick and knowledgeable about it. I did. I'm like, okay, you're in a quote unquote an ancient time, and y'all come in that biker bar, and you're just all, hey, I know exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to do that. I'm going to get the key. I was like, oh, give me a break.
That's a good.
Well, also, how many people here know what 400 years ago was like? I mean, to the extent that they're so comfortable.
They had to have been briefed. They had to have been briefed before they went on their little trip.
But they act like no culture shock at all. Hell, I go to another country and there's going to be a little culture shock, and it's the same timeline, or it's the same time. Going back in time, I mean, I love the Tudor era. That's my jam. The that time of history I've read about, I've watched movies, I've studied. I love it. But if you drop me in there and King Henry VIII's court, I'm going to be a little unnerved.
You probably wouldn't even be able to speak the language. It would take you a while to get used to it.
Well, she'd probably be looked at like a heretic or a witch or something. Then they'd
so
burn her at the stake.
Look at track 4. Look at track 4. Look how fish out of water they were.
Yeah.
Double dumbass on you.
Double dumbass on you. That is exactly what you're saying, Arwyn. That was part of the humor of that movie and any other time travel things where they didn't understand that time period. It was too primitive for them, and all they know is things they read about in bits and pieces of fragmented history.
Yeah,
so they're back there, slick. Right? They don't understand where they are.
Like Scotty with the mouse.
Right, exactly.
Hello, computer.
But they just adapt like it's nothing in this. Like,
that got to be a little. I was like, come on now, y'all. I get it. We have to suspend our disbelief. I get it, but that was a little too slick for me. And I'm like, no.
Have a great one, Ryan. Have a great one, brother.
Hello, computer.
Milton Knowles says, actually, I'm from this time, and there was enough of a culture shock for me seeing the city they were flying through. So no matter how much they were briefed, there would be a holy fuck at some point.
Thank you. Thank you. That's what irritated me almost. Not more than the whole bullshittery that happened at the end, but it's still, it just stuck in my craw, y'all, and I couldn't get past it.
I know we're nitpicking a lot of shit, but I mean...
Overall, it all brought the episode down. Yeah. Overall, it all. I liked the Charlie and Isaac thing. I liked how they walked in that house and like, oh honey, we're a new couple, and we want to see the house. And I liked the way Charlie played it. I love Isaac. So anytime you get to see Isaac, even in human form, when you're like, holy shit, it's the actual guy that plays Isaac. And he's standing the same way. And he's like, I would like to make a point. And he's still so stiff. And just like he is in the suit, that you're like, no, that's Isaac. There is no second guessing that is Isaac. Yeah. As soon as you see him, the way he is standing, even before you hear the voice, you're like, holy shit, Isaac looks like a human.
And the way he flips, you know how he does those little hand flips?
Yep.
He was still doing those little hand flips. I was geeking out on that. I'm like, damn, dude, you got this down.
He's really good. Yeah.
But yeah, they were a little too with it, a little too savvy. And I was like, oh, okay, I hear you.
What did you think about the big reveal that Charlie's a lesbian?
I didn't care.
I was surprised they didn't do that in the first episode.
Yeah.
First season when they. Yeah, I mean, it doesn't bother me. I don't care, but I mean, it's just like it was about time, I guess. They figured they had to get that in there somewhere. Well, not that I care, but
well, I'm not going to say that. Never mind.
Ooh, say it.
I was going to say something that might be a little considered spicy.
Go ahead. Go ahead, by all means.
At least she's not wearing flannel and have half her head shaved.
Yeah, like that horrible character on Strangled Big Worms.
She's a very attractive woman. And there are very attractive lesbians out there that just look like women. But you don't see a whole lot of that in the forefront of the activism today. So I was like, okay, you go, girl. You
very feminine.
Yeah, I thought that was handled, like if it had been her boyfriend that had been killed, her best friend had been a guy, and she had said that, I thought it was delivered and handled very naturally, and I had no problem with it.
I didn't have any problem with it per se, but it was unnecessary.
Like everything.
Well, it did show a little more why her hatred for Isaac is just, because her best friend. I mean, she actually loved this woman. And if someone's going to, if somebody dies that I love in a way like that, and there was someone who I felt was responsible for it, I could see getting a little saucy with them too. But
and Man Squatch says there are tens of thousands of attractive lesbians in his bookmarks.
Well, there you go.
Imagine if Isaac starts briefing Charlie as they are going into the bar. Ensign, be warned. These are organized criminals who embrace sexism, violence, and drug dealing. I could see that. I could totally see Isaac saying some shit like that.
Yeah, I could too. But so I didn't really care about that.
Well, it's not like most of us didn't know already. That was my big thing. So, what do you think about them finally revealing that? Big huge reveal.
Along. It was
nothing
implied all along.
Yeah.
So, it's just
That's why I said it was unnecessary, because it was implied from the very first episode, when Isaac offed himself.
Now, I will say, okay, Claude, what he says here, I did think she's not just mad at Isaac, she's mad at herself.
Yep. All that hatred.
She didn't tell her beloved that she loved her. That is a wasted moment, a wasted opportunity for her.
True.
So
and it's a lot easier.
Just mad at him. She's got all that anger at herself, and she's projecting, and So that's why I thought it was kind of neat that they played that angle, that they said, she's like, I never told her. I'm like,
it's a lot easier to blame Isaac for all of that than it is to take any responsibility for one's own inaction or what she did or didn't do.
Mm-hmm. So that I understood her character a lot better, and that I appreciated, because it's hard when you like someone like that. It's hard to tell them, but sometimes you just you got to. But so
indeed.
So we get past all of that. They get the stuff they need to go back in time, and they go back in time 10 more years and get Gordon, and they're all like, well, we got some things we need to talk about. And they make it back.
How did they get back to the future? Because the time device was destroyed at this point.
Okay, so the time device gets destroyed, and how they get back to the future is they use Einstein's theory of relativity, which means that the closer you move to the speed of light, the slower time moves for you, while it doesn't change for anything else. So as you are traveling from point A to point B, it might take you a day, an hour, a minute, when in reality, 1,000 years have gone by.
Mm-hmm.
So they had to calculate, and the way they do it is is very much the way Star Trek does it. A warp field, a warp bubble around your ship takes you into a different layer of subspace. And that is how you are able to circumvent Einstein's theory of relativity and travel so fast without it affecting time on the ship. Because a simple trip from Earth to City Alpha 5 would take 1,000 years without that, while only a day or two will have passed on the ship. So travel between stars becomes almost like pointless because it's going to take you 1,000 years to get there. It is a one-way trip. If you want to go to a different planet, it's a one-way trip because the way time works. So the closer you move to the speed of light, the slower everything's going to get for you, while everything moves at the same speed for everyone else. So Alpha Centauri is so Alpha Centauri, thank you, Man Squatch. So 4.3 light years. At the speed of light, it takes 4 years and 4 months to get there, but it might only take you an hour on a ship. Mm-hmm. It might only take you 4 minutes and 4 seconds until we actually do it.
Time dilation is real. They proved that even just, in our century with the astronauts and what it's, microseconds, but it's still there. It's measurable.
So closer you come to the speed of light, slower things get. So that's how they did it. They can move. You can move forward. Moving forward in time is possible. It's moving backwards that is improbable. Most likely no one's ever going to do that. That doesn't mean it's not impossible. It just means it's very, very improbable.
Yep. And it doesn't really belong in Star Trek, but they've been doing it. And every time they do it, you can still do a great episode. It's just, some of them really started getting out of hand. As much as I love Trials and Tribulations, at least they have an excuse for that, the way it worked.
So they get back to their own time, and then they have this talk with Gordon. And this is where my major problem lies with this episode. This is where I was like, fuck you, Kelly. Fuck you, Gordon. Fuck you, Ed. They sit around, and they drink scotch, and they laugh and joke about destroying the timeline and killing Gordon's kids.
Yep.
And Gordon legitimately laughs about this with them and is like, oh, guys, it's been so long since we've done this. I can't believe the life you guys saved me from. Thank you so very much. You saved me from this horrible life where I was happy, where I had kids. And what they have done is they have aborted his children. Mm-hmm. And he is talking about how grateful and how wonderful it is that they aborted his children.
That irritated me so much. Mm-hmm. And that he was just like, oh my God, I can't believe I wanted to stay. I can't believe. I'm like, why the need to confess? They had to tell him. They couldn't just pick him up from 2015 and continue on. No, they had to tell him, well, we went there and you didn't want to come back. And and he was just like, okay. Thank you for saving me because, I'm the dumbass who I don't know what I want. And oh my God, I can't believe I did that. It was such a disservice to that character. I wish, again, ballsier move, if he had looked them in the eye and said, you motherfuckers took that choice from me. You actually, and now you're sitting here laughing, drinking scotch, telling me about it like it's no big deal. You made that choice for me. And if he had gotten up and stomped out, and boom, into the episode, I would have been like, yes, but they didn't do it. They took the cheap way out. And that's why this episode, and I'm sorry, Loki, I'm getting ready to go, so I'm going to go ahead and rate it.
It's cool. Rate
this motherfucker
it.
Gets a 4. And the only reason it gets a 4 is because I thought Gordon did some damn good acting.
Yeah, he did.
When they were trying to pull him out, and that you could see his desperation. You could see his pleas. Don't do this. I was all Team Gordon at that moment. I'm like, you stand up for your loved ones. You stand up for your family. You stand up for your wife. You don't let them come in 10 years later and pull you out. I don't care what the union says. So that's why I give it a 4. But
Okay.
I got to take my son to work. I'm sorry.
Have a good one.
Arwyn, thank you. Thank you for being here. Have a great one.
Me.
Have a great Friday.
Yes.
All right. I love y'all. Mwah.
We love y'all. Bye. June Wong with a $5 super chat says, I gotta ask, did Gordon living his life in our time result in the butterfly effect disaster like on season 2, thus forced Ed and Kelly to take Gordon?
They never addressed that. All they said was it was still in flux, whatever the hell that means.
Yeah, they said it was still in flux and they don't know the ramifications of it, even though they had already seen the ramifications of it because they had his dossier from when he went back in time. They had his history, they had when he died, all of that. They had all of that. So Ed can sit there and say, we don't know what the ramifications will be because it hasn't happened yet, but they had it already. So they can't have it both ways. They cannot have it both ways. Mansquatch says there was 100% no reason to have this thing blow up. It added an unneeded problem and allowed them to demonstrate how ignorant they are of physics.
Mm-hmm.
Moods of Madness agreed. He hated that. Don't tell Gordon. Don't tell him.
Yeah, they didn't have to.
I can't believe they told him. It was bad enough. The episode when they told him made it worse.
All they had to do was walk out and do it. They didn't have to torture him like that.
And why didn't they just do this? Exactly. Why didn't they just take him with his family? That's all he wanted. Take me with my family. Nope.
I mean, they were a redundant timeline anyway, theoretically. So what they were saying, they were a paradox. They were going to cease to exist. Then that means, why can't you just take them out? They will exist. And then, but leaving the 2025 version of Gordon, but taking the family. Because remember, he even said that. Didn't he say that? Even like, please, you can at least take them, whatever, or take us with you or whatever. We'll go with it, and at least do that and save their lives because they were innocent, and and then you'd had a situation where she and the kids would exist in the future, and Gordon's 2000, his earlier self would be an interesting. Them coexisting, so it would be different, but it'd be more interesting than just what they did. I don't know.
Lady Mist, I haven't seen this yet, but time travel episodes are always a disappointment.
They're annoying. Sometimes, man, it just makes my head hurt.
I'm getting tired of it. I mean, it's a trope now. It's been overused so much. It's just they beat it to death.
Right. Yeah, and it just always makes problems. It's great for Doctor Who and other fictions,
and there Ed refused to take his family. Yes, Ed refused to take his family.
Why not? If they're redundant timeline anyway, if you're gonna go correct everything anyway, but you can, if you can theoretically take them back to the Orville and they will exist as paradoxes, but they will exist in another time, but they will still exist.
That's right. And you know what? The fact that they didn't do that, he's told them, I've never been this happy. I've never been this content. I've never been like I am today. Mm-hmm. And that didn't mean anything to them.
He said, this time isn't, all bad, He said there's a lot of good things, but they wouldn't.
They make a lot of mistakes here, but they're learning. They're
Yep.
Families are on the Orville. That they are. All right, let's get the ratings out of the way. Dave Bob, what do you give this?
2.
2.
The reason is because it's just so messed up what they did. I mean, that was straight up evil. I mean, you torture somebody and then go back and change it, and then have a good laugh with him while you're, saluting. Hey, here's to killing kids. It was just straight up evil.
Yep.
All right. Clobby.
I'll go with the 2 like Dave Bob. Again, I did when I first watched it, I didn't really have a horrible time. Then I started thinking about all the things we're talking about, and Wonderful Raquel come up with a lot of stuff. Like I said, we didn't touch on much today. What a creepy stalkery thing Gordon did though by stalking her. She made a very strong point about that. She also made a lot of points about how that much alcohol would have killed them all drinking that much. But anyway, but it doesn't pass the think test. I hate it for different reasons than I hated the previous 2 weeks, which I hate more. I hate those. Those are zeros to me. I guess that's another thing. I got sucked in by the fact that at least this wasn't political propaganda like the past 2 weeks were before that. So I guess I got away that I let that kind of get the better of me. But then you start thinking about all the unbelievably stupid and cruel things in the episode. Screw it. 2 is probably too good for it.
All right. Milton makes an interesting comment here. We own you now, dog. Laugh with us. If he doesn't end up killing them, the Orville is unredeemable.
It's probably over. It's probably dead to me now. I mean, I'll keep watching, but
I'm gonna give it a 4, and I'm gonna be very specific why I'm gonna give it a 4. It gets a major fail. This episode gets a major fail from me. The acting, Scott Grimes acting job in this, his acting chops, impressive. I did enjoy the Charlie and Isaac part of this episode. So the B story, which is the B story, it's what they call the B story. The B story in this is Charlie and Isaac going off on an adventure and getting to know each other and starting to understand each other. And Isaac is he's like, do you like to play sports? What sports do you like to play? And he's asking her all these questions. And because he wants to get to know her. Until finally she's like, what the F, dude? Why are you asking me all these weird ass questions? Because I want to get to know you. And I want you to get to know me. And I want to bury this hatchet we've got.
That was entertaining stuff. I'll give you that. That was enjoyable. Isaac's always enjoyable. Yeah.
Everything else in this episode is fucking trash. And this hurt. This really hurt because Clobby, we have not seen eye to eye over the last couple of weeks. I have had this. No, they are leaving it up to you at the end of the day. They're leaving it up to you how you feel about the episode, where they're going with, is this okay? Is this not okay? Should we be okay with this? Should we not be okay with this? Where you and Dave Bob have both been very much like, no, they are pushing you towards an agenda. They are saying this is how you have to see this or you're evil. And I didn't feel that way until today.
Well, it was that way. It's been that way since episode 4. Nobody missed it. It really is. It's total propaganda. It's just this past week was a different. It wasn't this one we're talking about tonight or today wasn't agenda, but the previous 2 were, and they're just they're gonna. That means they're gonna stay going in that direction. Does that mean next week will be political? I don't know, but it might be as bad as this one. We'll see.
God, I'm so disappointed. I mean, I'm just so
disappointed. I'm devastated. I loved this show before, man. I was so excited about it coming back, Loki. I mean, I was excited, dude. I was not. And again, shows how gullible I am. I thought, you know what? They're going to be. Look, by the way, let's just say it wasn't very good. Like this episode is not political like the previous 2. I can handle not very good. It's just they didn't do a good job. At least writing. The production values are out of this world. Brilliant. They're fantastic and beautiful. I could take it if it wasn't being agenda driven. If it were just they were kind of making mistakes. They're not. They're really calculating what they're doing. And they're really ugly. And they're also putting a lot of interpersonal stuff, as Raquel calls it, and a lot of soap opera crap in the show that really wasn't there to the great degree before. They were telling pretty good individual science fiction stories in the first 2 seasons. It's gotten away from everything that made it, in my opinion. Sorry about that. Go ahead.
Wasn't that interpersonal relationship, though, there from the very beginning when Ed walks in on Kelly having sex with that alien?
It was there. It didn't dominate the show. They still had science fiction stories. And sometimes they had character study stories. Now it's getting, I think they're doing a little bit too much of it. And again, it's like the John and Tyler stuff. Like, all right.
It's kind of soap opera stuff now. You're dun, dun, dun.
That's so unnecessary, the John and Tyler stuff, especially the making out in the damn engineering. I mean, I guess they thought it was funny, probably, but.
Well, he had a relationship with another Celan from the first season.
Who did?
I had no problem, when he was in his quarters
John.
and showed him with somebody or something like that. But that was just, a little bit over the top.
Right. John didn't have a relationship with the first one.
I'm sure he did.
I don't think so.
Because they even touched on it when they did the alternate timeline that they were still a couple.
I don't think he had a relationship with the first Celan that I remember. No.
Okay.
But anyway.
I have to check on that.
Relationships are fine to have them. We're stuck with that. This is modern entertainment for you. In other words, we're never going to get the original series Star Trek again where it's just episodic science fiction stories with recurring characters that don't dwell every week on their damn little social life, their own private lives and social life that much. They're still great characters. We didn't have to see everything about their damn private lives all the time. We focused each episode in the original series, on the story. We're never going to get that again. I realize that we don't live in that time anymore. So we're always going to have a little bit too much. Even the TNG was sort of like the original series in the sense that it didn't focus on every single aspect of the characters' lives, even though it did a little bit more than TOS. Now we're not there anymore. We're gonna get soap opera crap. This is the way it is. But it was at least not that bad in the first 2 seasons. Sorry.
Claude Parrish says Ed caught John and a woman smoking pot after hours. She asked if Ed wanted to join them. John mentioned no to Ed, and Ed left.
Yeah, that was in the first season, I think. Or second, maybe. Yeah. That was part of the humor of the show at that point, when it was trying to be funny.
So that's it for our Orville review this week, guys. I'm hoping that it does something to redeem itself next week. I don't know if I'm ever going to look at Kelly and Ed the same way ever again. Kelly pretty much the superior attitude on Kelly. I don't think I'm ever going to get past now. Yeah. I don't know if I will. This has changed my view of her. It definitely changed my view of Ed. And I don't even know if Ed had the balls to say what he really thought in front of Kelly, or if Ed just went along because he knew that Kelly was going to be a complete and total bitch about this. And at the end of the day, she would have reported them all to temporal investigations, and Ed didn't want that. So Ed did what she wanted. I don't know. But either way, this really hurts both of their characters. Moods of Madness said they only have 3 episodes to convince me to bother with a season 4 if they have one. Which they don't have anything like that yet. And I don't know if Seth wants to do another season. He might be done.
How many episodes do we have left, Clobby?
What was this one? This was 6?
6.
So 4 more.
You got 4 more. I thought it was 10.
More. Yeah, 10. Yeah, 10's the number.
Okay. So something I want to bring up really quick before we get out of here is what happened with Family Guy. When Family Guy, when Seth was done with Family Guy continued, but the quality of each season dropped, and it dropped because he just didn't care anymore. He just didn't care about doing it anymore.
He's like that.
And I don't know if that has happened here. I don't know. I hope not. But there is a dramatic difference between season 1 and season 2 in this season.
I think it's just him coming out. What he
this is the real him
really like,
in my opinion.
Yeah,
because he hated Fox. Now he's at Disney, and he gets to do whatever he wants. And yeah, I mean, he obviously there was crap he probably wasn't able to do at Fox, or I don't know. I think he was probably more enthused about the show when he was over there. But now he gets to say, look, I get to do whatever the hell I want. I only want 1 more season anyway. He said that. I know people keep saying, oh, no, if we support it, there's going to be a 4th season. Well, now I don't want one. But I don't think that's true. I think he probably just said, let me get this out of here and get it out of my system. And everyone's, I promised a 3rd season. Let me do it. Does it the way he wants to do it, and he's probably done. I don't know. I don't think he wants to do it anymore either. I don't think so. Yeah.
All right, guys, we're out of here. Thank you for hanging out with us on Friday. We'll be back on later tonight for a late show with Snowdub.
Hey. That's right. It's Friday.
So Snowdub is taking over the late show tonight. Thank you all so very much for being here. Thank you for watching. Be safe. Be excellent to each other. Always speak friend to enter. We're out of here, guys. Have a great weekend.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thanks.
What was that?
I said thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us, buddy.
Anytime. Thank you guys for being here. Have a great one, everybody.
These videos are tremendous. Like, comment, and subscribe, and hammer that notification bell.